They told us we were saving the planet, that we could drive electric, power solar, and sleep guilt free. But we don't grow lithium and we don't harvest cobalt. We mine it. And what we call clean is actually built on poisoned earth, dead rivers, and exploited hands, essentially. Because we don't mine morality, we mine lithium. Today, the world is shifting to renewables. So we have solar panels and wind farms and electric vehicles. And of course, green tech requires these rare earth elements and critical minerals, things like lithium and cobalt and nickel, copper, and other rare earths. So, to give you an example, electric vehicles need 6 times more minerals than regular gas cars do. The wind turbines that are very popular, say, for example, in the Netherlands, they require rare earth magnets. Solar panels rely on things like mined silicone and silver. And then we have battery storage demands for mass scale lithium and cobalt. So you don't power a green future with happy thoughts and prayers. You power it with mines. So let's take a look at some of the extraction zones where some of these um, mines are and what's going on in these places. So go look at the Congo, right? 70% of the global cobalt comes from the Congo. And these are tens of thousands of children, essentially, who work in unsafe, toxic mines. And the profits flow to foreign companies. And of course, it's the locals who pay the tab with sickness, injury, and poverty. You could go look at the lithium triangle in South America, which is between Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina. So the lithium is extracted from their salt flats, but it drains the local fresh water, so that destroys our ecosystems and harms the indigenous communities. China. I think China controls something between 80 to 90% of the rare earth processing, but rare earth processing is difficult, but there's a lot of toxic waste, heavy pollution, and it destroys the local villages. Rare earth processing is essentially taking the leftovers of copper mines and zinc mines and things of that sort, shipping it to China, and then they dump it in acid vats over and over for long periods of time, for months, and they let all those toxins in the air, of course. So that is a something subsidized by the Chinese government from the 1980s. But again, since it's a communist country, they could essentially just confiscate bank accounts and do whatever they want. They can get in this sort of business and be profitable. But again, 80 to 90% comes from China. And look, even lithium. Look at Bolivia's lithium nationalization fights for because of foreign exploitation, for example. Chile's indigenous communities, they continue to resist their lithium extraction. And in the Congo, I mean, there's accounts of miners literally digging by hand under collapsing tunnels. So the cleanest technologies in the north are born from the dirtiest places in the south. This is tragically green colonialism. It's the same empire, but with a new name. So if you look at the global north, what they consume and what the global south extracts. So just like these oil empires of the past, the green transition is built on inequality. So you need water, land, and labor, and once again, that gets exploited for the West's comfort. This is a neo-colonialism of clean energy, and the wealth flows north, but again, the damage stays south. And right now, the US and China are battling over lithium and cobalt rights worldwide. So this is what the real war is about, right? The supply chain domination. And it's African and Latin American leaders now who are pushing back, and they're trying to nationalize their resources. So we didn't end the fossil empire. We changed its colors and kept the crown, essentially. But let's look at what we do have. Some of the positive, if you will, or at least the surface level fixes. So desalination, which is basically desalting the water or water recycling and like the renewables expansion. So you hear things like battery recycling programs. So getting old laptops and cellular phones and computers and just getting the rare earth or the cobalt or the lithium out of that and recycling it. And then, of course, we have ethical sourcing pledges, but that goes largely unenforced. But what we currently still don't have is global enforcement of mining standards, equal redistribution of green tech profits, and tech that works without devouring more of the planet. Because what's the point of saving the planet if you're destroying the planet and trying to make the planet go quote unquote green? Now, some labs they are developing lab grown minerals, but that's still experimental and it's going to take many years to scale. And of course, they have circular economy models that exist, but like any industry, it resists transitions. It values profits first. And you can't mine your way to sustainability. Now, let's look at the human cost and like the moral divide of this. So in 2010, the UN declared that water and sanitation are human rights. And till today, billions still go without it. And now green tech is taking their water, the land, and in some cases, their lives. Many communities can't access the energy they're dying to produce, which is insane. Matter of fact, I mentioned in a past episode, there's some people jailed for collecting rainwater in some of these countries. For example, in Bolivia, the Cochabamba water war of 2000, there was violent protest, and that was against privatized water. So the ethical question is, can you call energy clean if it's born from exploitation? Because the future doesn't belong to the cleanest tech, it belongs to the most just. I think we are building a cleaner sky by poisoning the ground someone else has to live on. And that's not practical. And a world without oil isn't the end. It's a world without exploitation. That's the end. And if the green revolution means survival for the rich and sacrifice for the poor, then that's not a revolution. It's just an upgrade of the same system. So I hope that was informative, guys. And like always, remember to lift more, eat more, rest more, love more, and hate less. Thank you.